Hey guys, it's Alex here, and today I'm going to give you my first impressions of the hotly anticipated alkalinity monitor from Reef Factory, the KH Keeper. Now this is currently only available in Europe, but Reef Factory do have plans to bring it to America and Australia, so watch out for it some point in the future. Now I didn't buy this, it was given to me for free by Coral Compass, so thanks very much to them. And one of the things I've learnt about Reef Factory over the last couple of weeks is that they are open to implementing features that you guys, the customers, want to see, and I will give my opinions on what I would like to see at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that and comment below to see if you agree with them and want to see them too, or if there are features that you'd like to add, because Reef Factory will implement them if they're important enough or popular enough. Before we get into that, if it's your first time here, I put out a video every week with tips on how to set up and maintain an awesome reef tank. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything. Right, let's get stuck in. For the uninitiated, the KH Keeper is a device that automatically measures alkalinity, which is the most important parameter in your tank for keeping stony corals. It costs £570 in the UK and around €595 in the rest of Europe. So when it comes to the States, you can probably expect to pay around $600, which makes it by far the cheapest alkalinity monitor on the market, given that you don't need to buy any additional kit for it to run. It comes in the usual clean Reef Factory packaging, and the device itself is firstly a very smart looking bit of kit, but also very compact. It's roughly half the size of my GHL KH Director and approximately 4 billion times smaller than the Alcatronic. It also has screw mounts on the back of the unit, so it should be relatively easy to find somewhere for this in your tank cabinet, even if you have a small tank. The KH Keeper itself has 3 dosing heads, one to draw water from your aquarium to the testing beaker, one that drains the water after the test is complete, and a precise stepper motor to add the reagent to the test sample. In the testing beaker is a small magnetic stirring bead to mix the reagent, and a pH probe to determine your alkalinity test result. Along with the device you get 2 measuring cylinders and pH sachets for calibration, as well as all the tubing you need to set up. Connecting the KH Keeper to the Smart Reef app is pretty straightforward and only takes a few steps, although you do need to follow the short instructions, so don't be a typical bloke and try to do it by yourself. Getting the KH Keeper ready for action though does take a bit of time and patience, as is the case with all alkalinity monitors like this. Although dialing it in was easier than my KH Director, and there are detailed calibration and setup instructions, including simple video guides for each step. I'd recommend you set aside a bit of time to get it up and running, and that you watch the instructional videos before you get stuck in. I found the videos really useful, and I wasn't left wondering about how to do anything. Calibration is really important with an alkalinity monitor, and I ran through each calibration stage 4 or 5 times over 2 days to make absolutely sure everything was spot on. Although there were a couple of steps I did differently to the instructions. I can never accurately read measuring cylinders, so instead I used a set of digital precision scales to calibrate the dosing heads. And because the reagent comes concentrated, I use a set of kitchen scales rather than a volumetric cylinder to measure out 100 millilitres of reagent and 900 millilitres of RO water. And I'll put links in the description to the scales I've used. I also took a little more time when calibrating the pH probe. Because the probe ships dry, I let it rest in the pH fluid for 10 minutes before starting the calibration, whereas the instructions say to start it straight away. A number of other people with the KH Keeper have done the same, and I understand Reef Factory will soon be changing the instructions to recommend you dip the probe in salt water for half an hour before you start the calibration process. While calibration is a bit of a faff, the Smart Reef app is just so simple and intuitive that it makes life as easy as it can. The app controls the KH Keeper along with any other Reef Factory devices you have. I also have the pH meter and temperature controller, so my Smart Reef dashboard is starting to look quite fancy now. You can set the KH Keeper to test at intervals of 1, 2, 4, 8 and 12 hours, and each test will start on the hour and will take around 18 minutes. And of course you can tell it to take an impromptu test whenever you want. If the test result is significantly different to the previous result, the KH Keeper will automatically do a retest, which will ensure nothing has gone wrong and that you're getting an accurate reading. You choose the point at which it will remeasure. My alkalinity is pretty stable, so I've set mine at 0.4 DKH, so if I did a test at 8 DKH, then the next one came in at 8.5, the KH Keeper will automatically retest. By default, the wastewater is sent to a container that you have to set up, but you can tell the KH Keeper to return the wastewater to your aquarium. If you do that, the KH Keeper simply reverses the sample pump at the end of the test. But if you're comfortable returning the wastewater to your aquarium, I'd say you're better off just running the wasteline back to your tank to save wear and tear on the sample pump. Reef Factory are going to release an ICP test showing what's in the wastewater, and I've already seen many people running wastewater from alkalinity monitors to their aquariums with no problems at all for several months. Now, I'm quite cautious with that sort of thing, so I've set up a container to collect the wastewater and one that holds new salt water, and I set my dosing pumps to add new salt water to my tank every time the KH Keeper runs a test in order to keep my salinity level stable. To be honest, that's probably not really necessary on a large tank like this, but I have the space and it doesn't hurt. I personally plan to sit back for a few months to see how other people get on, and if there are no reported issues, I'll return the wastewater to my tank quite happily, which will free up a bit of cabinet space. When the KH Keeper completes its test, the result is displayed in the app. Below the current result, there's a handy list that shows your last 20 odd results, so you can easily see how stable your KH is at a glance. And there's a graph that shows your results over a longer period of time. In my other Reef Factory reviews, I've hammered on at length about how good the app is, and it's the same story with the KH Keeper. The data is so easy to read, and it makes checking in effortless, which is the way an alkalinity monitor should be. And crucially, the KH Keeper will also send you a notification if your result falls outside of the desired range you've set. I've chosen a push notification to my phone, but you can also have a text message or an email, or all three if you're the belt and braces type. And the KH Keeper itself will also light up green to show your alkalinity is in range, or red if it's not, and it goes blue while testing. The LED light is a really nice touch, and even though I keep mine out of sight in a sump cabinet, it makes the KH Keeper look really cool when I check it out. The app also tells you how much longer your reagent container will last before you need to fill it up, as well as when you should next recalibrate the device. Now, that last feature I really appreciate, as it is so easy to forget when you last calibrated these devices. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure I actually will calibrate this every month, as I personally doubt it will be necessary. In terms of running costs, it uses around 7 ml of mixed reagent per test, and a 1 litre bottle of concentrated reagent costs £49 and creates 10 litres of reagent when mixed. All of which means each test will cost you just 3.5 pence, so by my maths, a 1 litre bottle of reagent will last you a week shy of a year, even if you test 4 times a day, meaning the running costs of the KH Keeper are just £1 a week at 4 tests a day. The instructions say the reagent should be stirred every few days to keep it mixed, but I've copied others on Facebook, and I've bought a magnetic stirrer and a plug timer to take care of that for me, and I'll put links to both in the description of course. If you buy additional dosing pumps, you can also set the KH Keeper to control your alkalinity, so it will automatically increase or decrease your dosing amounts to match your desired levels. And you can tell it to increase or decrease your calcium and magnesium at the same time, and it will automatically delay each dose by 10 minutes to make sure your alkalinity, calcium and magnesium solutions don't mix together and precipitate out. That functionality isn't available at the time I'm making this video, but will be within a week or so of the video release date. So the KH Keeper is cheap to buy and run, it looks awesome, it's compact, there's a ton of functionality, and the app is frigging awesome. So are there any downsides? Well, yeah, there are a few things. The trade-off for its small size is that it's a bit fiddly to access all the parts for calibration, and you'll be cursing if you have chipolata fingers. In particular, it looks like the pH probe will be a bit of a faff to replace, as you'll have to open up the back, although Reef Factory reckon you'll only need to do so every 6 to 24 months, depending on how often you test. And the good news is a replacement probe will only set you back £39. Next up, while it does look smart, the build quality isn't fantastic. I wouldn't say it feels cheap, but it's certainly not the most premium device in the world, although my Outtakes skimmer is the single cheapest feeling piece of equipment in my entire tank, and yet it is absolutely fantastic. So for me personally, that's no biggie. Finally, while the 2 water sample pumps are very quiet, the stepper motor it uses to add reagent is a bit noisy, and it sounds like an alien robot trying to contact the mothership. If you're wondering what I mean, here's a quick sample. Now that pump runs constantly for about 40 seconds at first to add the reagent, then chirps a few more times very quickly after that to top it up. Now, it's impossible to accurately convey volume on this video, of course, but I wouldn't want to have to put up with it going off every hour if I was watching TV in the same room. With that being said, I've had it running in the middle of the night ever since I got it, and it hasn't disturbed my slumber or that of Mrs. Reef Talk, despite my bedroom being directly above the room my tank is in. And my overall take on it is that it's really not that noisy, and if it's only going off once or so an evening, it doesn't bother me. Now, if you've got one of these, post in the comment section with your opinion to say whether or not you think it's noisy. As far as the negatives go, that's about it, although there are a few features I'd like to see added to the KH Keeper to make it even better. As I said at the start, Reef Factory will implement customer suggestions if they're popular enough, so leave a comment to say which of these you'd like to see, or if there's anything else you'd like to add. Firstly, I'd like it to measure the wastewater so it can alert you when your waste container is full, and I'd like to be able to tell it what time it tests instead of letting it just test on the hour. I'd also like a push notification to my phone to tell me the result of every test so I don't have to go into the app to check, although I'd want to be able to turn that feature off. These are all very much in the nice to have category, not essential, but let me know what you think. Now, I've only had the KH Keeper for 3 weeks, but I already love it. I originally planned to run it alongside my GHL KH Director for a few months, but I disconnected the KH Director after less than a week because the KH Keeper is just so good. The app is fantastic, and I particularly love that it sends you notifications if your test result is too high or too low, and that it retests if it thinks there might be something wrong with one test result. It's clearly been really well thought out, and I feel confident that I can leave it to do its thing, and that it will just tell me if I need to do something to correct my alkalinity level, and that is exactly what I want from an alkalinity monitor. For what it's worth, after proper calibration, my KH Keeper was reading within 0.15 DKH of my Hannah checker. And even the alkalinity reference fluid I have has a tolerance of 0.2 DKH. And if that's not enough for you, I've seen several people on Facebook getting the exact same readings as other test kits. And if that's not enough for you, well, I can't help you. So those are my first impressions of the Reef Factory KH Keeper. Now, I'll come back and do a long-term review when I've had it for a bit longer, and I'm also going to do a comparison video of the Reef Factory KH Keeper against the GHL KH Director. That will be out this Sunday, so I'll put a link up there so you can go and check it out. If you enjoyed the video, then give me a thumbs up and subscribe for next week, and until next time, happy reefing. Now this is currently only available in Europe, but it will be Now this is currently only available in Europe. Now this is currently only available in Europe, but it will be coming to America. Now this is currently only available in Europe, but it will become. Now this is currently only available in Europe, but Reef Factory. Now this is only. Now the KH Keeper is currently only available in Europe, but Reef Factory do have plans to bring it to America and Australia, so watch out for that in the future. That's a reagent pump. With just, because it's audio in it, so.